We just all like to say thank you to Joe Healy for his support on Patreon. Good man, lads. I think that'll do you. What do you want from me, huh? What do you want, huh? What do you want from me?
What you mean, what you mean?
What do you mean, what you mean?
Sorry for your life. I like that story Roddy Doyle says, but some Dublin scumbag comes up to him outside the Dart station. He's like, "Are you Roddy Doyle?" "Yeah, I am, yeah." "So what?" "Yeah, so what?" That's so good. Hello and welcome to Drunk Tolk, the Lord of the Rings podcast about cans. And we are here on chapter, lads, keep it right here. Is this chapter 12, chapter 13?
12.
12. The flight to the ford. And I'm your host, Ross. And dear listener, today, what a treat. What a treat. Big changes to the lineup today. I'll get to that in a minute, but let me first introduce a stalwart of the show. He is in no relation to Christian fundamentalists from Monaghan, although he may shade the name. It's Owen Duffy. Owen, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you, Ross?
Yeah, in there early. Good. That someone's asked me, you're taking the weight off the other two guests by asking me how I am.
Yeah. I've been here long enough to know just to get in early and just be on the good side of the host.
A pro. Yeah, you're a pro at this stage. And I think that's why our podcast is so successful. We're learning as we're going. So, Owen, did you do your homework?
I did, yeah. This was actually quite a long chapter compared to most, 20 odd pages, maybe more. But full of juice. Yeah,
succulent, you'd say.
Yeah, plenty of.
like a lamb shank. Good read, would you say?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They're all good reads. Like.
Spectacular stuff. Yeah. Spectacular. Very different, I think. This is, I'd say, maybe the first action chapter.
Yeah, a lot going on. This is the chapter where I don't want to go into too much detail, but just the Black Riders kind of get their shit together in the last two chapters in this one.
Yeah, 100%. Very different from the movie, although similar in a lot of parts too. And we'll get into that. Listen, we're ahead of ourselves here. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking McGargle's Francis Big Bang and IPA.
Hold on. I got it. There's a lot to unpack there.
There is, right? Yeah.
So is the thing actually called McGargle?
So I think McGargle's...
You're gargling a McGargle.
I think... So the brewery is called Rye River, I think. And McGargle's is like the name of the beer. And then, like, I don't know if they have a fucking sub-heading of the beer. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot going on here, to be honest.
Any use?
It's nice. It's strong. 7.1%.
Oh, say no more.
And it's fruity. It's tropical assault, restrained malt, gentle balance, fruit finish. Says on the back. It's nice. Good beer.
Very good. I'm expecting you to be loaded now in about 20 minutes, which is exciting for all of us, especially the listener. I think, all right, good to have you back on. So, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, some of the regulars, I say unfortunately, but it might turn out to be quite fortunate. Oisin and the Bull McCabe were busy because, in fairness, they are adults and they have stuff to be doing. So we've called in a couple of auxiliaries, really, you'd say. And listen, I'm going to start as the people's favourite, really. It's quite infuriating. He's only been on 2 or 3 podcasts, and 90% of the feedback we get is about how great his voice sounds. So I'm going to go to you, Deggy. Deggy, how are you?
Great to be back. People chant back again, every time it's in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm always here.
Just giving the people what they want.
That's it,
Yeah.
Gonna pick up those Patreon numbers now, Ross, when this one drops, Gonna skyrocket.
Yeah. As usual.
Do you know what this reminds me of? Yeah, with me and our other guest coming in, I'll let you introduce him. You know when Saruman creates Uruk-hai and like they're just a far superior being to the orcs. That's what me and this next guest coming on is like, you know. I think personally,
I'm pulling you out of some kind of brown jelly.
That's exactly it.
And then painting white on your head. Yeah,
just slapping you in the face with a
that's it. I'm just your war
white
podcaster.
hand.
That's how it is.
yeah. You don't come to burn crops.
No.
You
I'm taking names, cash and checks, Uruk-hai style.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Very good. And did you do your homework?
Oh, I did indeed. As Owen was saying, it's a long-ass chapter, but you know what? He can describe a landscape, that man. There was like a middle part of that chapter where it was just describing it to serious in depth.
Yeah. Well, hold fire there. Just keep your powder dry just a minute, because I did want to get into that a little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We'll finish the formalities here while we can. So what do you reckon?
Because it was a late notice call, I'm only drinking a basic bitch Carlsberg. What I had in the fridge.
Oh, right.
But you know, still solid.
Carlsberg,
I do. It's solid, you know. 5 out of 10.
A bottle or a can?
Can. You know, bottle. I prefer the bottle, but you know, can still.
A cold bottle of Carlsberg.
Still decent.
Does the job.
Does what it says in the tin.
Mads Mikkelsen seems to like it, so you know.
Who likes it, sorry, Owen?
Mads Mikkelsen seems to like it, so you.
There you go. You can't go wrong with that. Like,
no,
he's a sexy man. He
does all the ads, doesn't he?
It's because outside of soccer ball, I can't really think of anyone from Denmark apart from Mads.
No,
that's true.
So I guess it makes sense that they make him do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Denmark, if you're listening.
we do have Denmark listeners.
Can I talk before being introduced?
Well, hold on. Our third guest here is putting himself in, so I may as well introduce. So what are you making out there?
There's so much there that I just want to say, and I was like, I haven't been introduced, and I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. Like, you're saying, it's not Mads Mikkelsen, it's Mads Mikkelsen. The D is silent. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah.
Hold on. Right. Let's get you introduced here first. It's the first time you and I have actually been on the pod together.
That's not lost on me.
Oh, is that right, Owen? Is it? Yeah. So it's Owen Newman. Owen, how are you?
I'm good, Ross. How are you? Thanks for having me on. Oh,
thanks for coming. Are you excited to be on the pod?
I'm very excited. Like I said to you, I haven't had an ounce of crack all week, so you know this is a long time coming. So I'm really looking forward to being on it with you lads.
For some of our American listeners, an ounce of crack. Wow.
You picked a great way to explain the situation.
I mean, first of all, we use the metric system here as well. It's almost like you're aiming it at them. I don't want to let you handle that. Do you want to rephrase or explain, or are you happy with that?
I haven't had a sufficient amount of fun that is usually required for an adult man to have to just get him through the just day-to-day life. So that's it. And an ounce of crack is kind of how I would have phrased that. But
yeah, that's fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. So did you do your homework?
Oh, geez, I did. Yeah. Very, very enjoyable chapter. Lots going on. Look, it's all great.
Yeah.
This in particular, very much a really, really good chapter, yeah.
And seen as, well, hold on, I'll ask you what you're drinking first before I go into any more. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Budvar.
Oh, yes, it's been on the pod before.
Yeah. Now, this has always seemed to be a beer to me that was kind of like the cheap beer, the kind of one that you drink when you're maybe in college and stuff. Now, I've never had one of these before, but I think in my latter years I'm finding out these cheap beers, and I'm liking the Budvar. It's owned by the Czech Republic.
Yes, as has been mentioned.
They own it.
Yeah, they do.
They own it.
They do.
So thanks to them.
Yes, thank you. I think Babis is their Prime Minister. Babis. There's the name I'm pronouncing 100% correct.
Babis.
100%. Yes. So Newman, I don't know if you've gone through the proper kind of introduction, because Bull was hosting at the time when you were on an episode previously, and as we all know, that was a car crash. So I'm just going to go through a couple of quick questions here, QQs, you might say. So do you like Lord of the Rings?
I love Lord of the Rings, yeah.
Brilliant. Have you read the books before?
I've never read the books. I was always I fell in love with the movies from a very early age, like yourselves, and I never read the books because I was always worried that in some way, even in a way that like I love the movies so much that even if the books were better than the movies, that they would sully the movies for me in a way. I never wanted to look ill on the movies, so I kind of always avoided them. And then just the fact that you boys did the podcast was a great opportunity to kind of get involved, you know. So, and I'm loving them so far. So
I apologise for this burden we've put on you.
yes, I know it's a heavy burden.
Next time you're going to watch Fellowship, you're going to be screaming at Liv Tyler. It's like, where's Glorfindel?
Oh, like probably. Like you're reading this chapter and you're like, right, okay, what's going on here? And then like you know. I am keeping up with ye in terms of like the podcast. Like I'm not going further ahead or anything. I'm being stalwart and I want to put myself in the shoes of the listener really. So, you know, it was a surprise as me as much to Annie that it wasn't Arwen riding in the horse, it was some other fella, like, you know. Glorfindel, yeah.
We get into that.
Oh yeah.
Oh Jesus, good gear. And come here, some question I like to ask as well is, do you remember the first time, not that you've seen Lord of the Rings, because I'm fairly sure that was Nav in cinema like the rest of us, apart from Owen, who's in a bit of an FC here, but a filthy casual, you know. But do you remember like what was the like the context of you going to see Lord of the Rings? We're all 10 years old, you know. None of us decided to go see this thing. We were brought to it, or we were told to watch it. I mean, do you remember just being plumped and not knowing what was going to happen, or what was that kind of initial contact with Lord of the Rings for you?
I remember seeing the trailer. First, and I was like, "What is this pile of shit? What is
Jewelry.
It's like these lads, these fucking gobshites." We all remember the trailer. They were all coming over. They were coming through that break in the wall, and you got to see all the characters. And you know, oh god, I'd never fucking go and see that. But then you're, you know, inexplicably drawn towards it.
Yeah.
And you find yourself in the cinema, and you're there.
Yeah.
And then, sure, look, the rest is history by the time the credits roll, like, you know, so. Yeah. That was my first kind of foray into it.
Within that first, like, 2 minutes where Galadriel's just telling the story of old, you're just like, I'm hooked. This is it.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned before, I love all of that, and every time I watch it, I love all of that. As soon as that weird kind of Howard Shore sound, like a squeaky violin or whatever it is, that's, you know, the first kind of music in the introduction. Mm-hmm. That wasn't what got me in, because I was 10, right? But what got me in was just the line of swords being flicked in the orcs' faces.
Oh, that was savage. That was so savage. Yeah.
Oh, I'm done. I'm done. Oh my god.
Do you remember in the game when it went from like film to in-game, and that was the sequence? It was like it like blended into that. It was so good.
Yeah, that was Two Towers, was that?
I think it was Two Towers. Yeah, that was some game.
Yeah, you're playing the game and you're like, they're you know, the sequence is there, and you're like, no, I'm not going to be playing now. I'm not going to be. No, not at all. They're not going to put me in at this moment. And then, surely not. And then, lo and behold.
Honoring.
Thick in Helm's Deep.
Super stuff. So, lads, if anyone
Ross, what are you drinking?
Oh, well, there he is. Jesus, at the death.
I knew it was coming. I knew you were coming with it. I could see it in your eyes.
Yeah. Just a regular bog standard Rockshore for our listeners here. We've had it on the pod before. It's nice and cheap.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, nice and light.
Good gear.
Had a bit of a party there last weekend, so I'm just kind of rifling through the ends of the fridge. A couple of spare cans, bit of a hodgepodge. I have a couple of Carlsberg there as well, but I thought I'd get the Rockshore into me before I touch that dirt.
Rockshore's solid beer.
Yeah, I like Rockshore.
I drank Rockshore exclusively for a stag one weekend. It was great. It was when it first came out, and we were mad for it. And
yeah, it's light, you'd say. It's light.
Yeah.
Soft.
I remember years ago we went on like a surfing trip to Donegal or some shit like that. It's like 3 years ago now, maybe. And I think Ross and your fiance were drinking pints of Rockshore. I'm like, what the fuck's that stuff? Why are they drinking that?
Yeah.
Just,
how little you knew.
You were way ahead of the curve.
As usual.
Yeah.
As usual.
And I literally today we bought a 24 crate of Rockshore.
There you go.
24 beans. Not bad.
There you go. Nice. 24. Oh.
Yeah.
Just very quickly before we actually get into Lord of the Rings, lads. Speaking of my fiance, she's as bad at spelling as I am. So every now and again she texts me. It's like, "How are you, finance?" That's my life.
That's good.
Yeah, that's my life. Yes, right. Who wants to do the 20-second summary? Maybe one of the guests. Deggy's internet is pants.
Give it
I don't
Owen.
want to put him under any pressure. Yeah, we'll give it Owen till the end of the season. Right, Newman. 20 seconds. Are you ready?
Oh, all right. Oh, I wasn't prepared for this, but sure, let's do it.
20. All right, go.
Count them down, Ross.
Already up to 5
You've
now.
24 seconds left.
We're counting down to 10, I presume.
No, you have 30 seconds.
So in this chapter, Flight to the Ford, we find the aftermath of the. Why are you still counting down?
You've only 15 seconds left.
All right, okay. Start again.
No.
Damn.
No.
So in the aftermath of all the
10
shenanigans on
seconds left.
in the aftermath of all the shenanigans on Weathertop, we find the lads trying to sort themselves out. And then some fella,
You're
some
done.
elf lord comes along and, for fuck's sake.
No, you can have a proper go.
Right, go on, finish it there. It's tough. I don't think anyone's completing it.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, he does it every time. It's fucking hard.
It's like this.
That's why they do it on a TV show. It puts you under serious pressure.
Serious pressure. It's
Right,
my
go on.
favourite part of the show. The listeners don't hear it. They don't see it. My favourite part. Anyway, yes. So after Weathertop.
After Weathertop, yeah, we Frodo's in a bad way, and the impetus is on the lads to get to Rivendell, to get him healed, to get him sorted, and a few hiccups along the way. They come across an elf lord called Glorfindel, who helps them along the way to the point then where they meet up with the Black Riders again, and again more shenanigans ensue, and that's the chapter.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Thanks very much.
Good read, you'd say.
That was definitely under 30 seconds. Just the pressure.
Yeah, it was the pressure. Pressure's
Yeah.
for tires.
Fair enough. There's a lot to get into on this chapter, like a lot.
Yes.
It's obviously a legendary piece of the movie. Introduces to Arwen, played by phenomenal Liv Tyler. Let's be honest. It doesn't play a big part in the book at all.
Can I ask though? Is Arwen in the book?
Yeah.
Or like is she still the love interest of?
Yeah. She's in
Yeah.
maybe 4 pages.
Right,
I think
okay.
in the next chapter or maybe the chapter after it's just mentioned that she's there. She's talking to Aragorn, and then they talk about something, and then they get married at the end. Spoilers.
Yeah, but even in the, I don't know, I'm not sure if it was in this chapter or the chapter before, there was like kind of almost foreshadowing to Aragorn was chatting about his time in Rivendell and how he kind of left things in Rivendell. And I suppose coming from the movies, you would have thought, oh yeah, Aragorn, I fucking know what you left in Rivendell. You don't even tell me. But then you come and find that, all right, she's not actually that huge a part of it as you would have thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense from everyone's point of view, I think. It makes sense for Peter Jackson to gender it up a bit,
Mm-hmm.
They're 51% of the world are the female species, you'd say. So, it just makes sense to make it a watchable movie for half the movie-paying population. You couldn't have it, without...
Was that his motivation, was it? Or would it have been?
I don't know.
Or would you presume so? Yeah.
I mean, I made that up, so I'm going to say yeah.
Maybe it was.
Yeah.
Arwen played a huge part in the movie.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
It always came back to Arwen was Aragorn's number one, priority here. Not like, maybe not priority, but like inspiration. Would you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it was always going back to her as in like this is what we want.
Yeah, he was always dreaming of her and all this kind
You
of...
definitely would have missed something. The film would have missed something if it didn't have her in it, I think. You need that. You need a bit of it.
They made the right call.
Yeah.
There was a whole character act there. There was a whole
exactly.
process of her having to decide, like, oh, am I gonna,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do? Am I gonna give up this immortal life? Am I gonna do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
Could you blame her though? Come on. Oh my God.
Lord above. Speaking of that, lads, I mean, we are a bunch of lads, and we've got 2 auxiliary lads with us on the call. Much like Peter Jackson, do we need to gender it up a bit, lads?
I suppose that would be That, you know, far be it of me and Declan come in here and, you know, throw our weight around and say, you know, get a few yours on and all this kind of crap.
Oh, Deggy would love that, don't they?
Oh, we couldn't have them on with Deggy. We couldn't have them on.
I want me and 3 Bjors, and the rest you can fuck off. You know what I mean? So, you know, you sit there talking all the rings.
Oh, dear. Oh, no.
That's the dream.
The bud. Thank you, Deggy. Nope. Moving swiftly on. This is a family show. So right at the very, very start of the chapter there, lads, I picked up on something where Frodo was, you know, kind of describing what happened to him a little bit in his head, where obviously he got stabbed. Class bit of the movie, in fairness. Different in the books. It appears that when Frodo got stabbed, the Nazgul went commando. Like, they went nip. They took their cloaks off so no one could see them, apart from Frodo. Did I read that wrong? That was my understanding of it, because there's cloaks on the bushes or something left over.
But I thought that the part of the cloak that was left over is the part that he cut off when he went slicing at one of their legs. Like, that's what I thought. That's what I read. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
And it kind of spoke towards the maybe the nothingness that they are. The fact that, you know, he sliced at them and all he got was a bit of cloak, like, you know. But again, that's just my reading.
Oh, that's good. So they're just like, they've no matter, no physical.
I don't know, maybe. That's some slice action though. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Frodo's some man.
But have you ever sliced at a bit of cloth midair? Like, you're not
it's near
you're not just cutting that willy nilly. Like, that must be, you know.
You need to be some kind of samurai.
Maybe.
Fierce thrust action.
Oh, you're thrusting there, Deggy. You're stabbing.
Stabbing. Well, yeah, I'm thrusting more than stabbing. Yeah, this is going off the rails here now. I'm not going to be the innuendo guy.
Well, listen, you're a lot of things, and you've got an identity on this pod already. But no, we'll leave that be. Speaking of sword action, Frodo's in a heap in the ground. He's all stabbed. No one knows what's going on. It's a bit of chaos. Strider comes back, right? And Sam, who's going strength to strength to strength, like chapter by chapter, after all the abuse we gave him, he all of a sudden mistrusts Strider, which I think is fair enough. He's like, oh, how did we get caught? You're supposed to save us, da-da-da. Takes the sword out on him. He's absolutely no bother. Takes the sword out and points it at Strider. And Strider's like, oh, no, it's not me. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What did you boys say? I thought, fuck, it was Samuel Pup, yeah.
Yeah, he's some man. I know we should be trusting Strider at this stage, and even Frodo did, but Sam's just no trust in him at all, even the last chapter. Yeah. I don't know what it is about him. It's like the protective dog tendencies that he may have. I don't know.
Yeah.
If there's a bit of a sniff of unloyalty, he's ready to go. Like, you know what I mean? That's the kind of friend you want in your corner, you know?
I think so. I think this part here could be the inspiration for the I'll have you Longshanks bit in the movie.
Okay.
It was good. What do you think, Newman? Would you like to have Sam in your corner?
Would I like to have Sam in my corner? Absolutely. Because I doubt any boys would show any kind of the same
backbone.
No bad comment on your character, but like, you know, you boys would let me rot, like, you know, pushing the shove, I'd imagine. You know.
This reminds me, do you remember when we were having drinks at my house? We were about 17, that the old pair were gone away for a weekend, and we all were drinking Druids. Do you remember Druids? Have you had that in the podcast yet?
No, I don't drink cider these days now.
I can't drink cider.
We need an all Druids podcast. Come on, lads.
Century Challenge. We should do a Century Challenge.
That's it. Century Challenge podcast.
Way.
Yeah.
Deggy, you want to explain the Century Challenge?
The Century Challenge. It sounds a lot easier than it is. I'm not sure I've seen a man alive complete the Century Challenge. And I've seen a lot of drinkers that I had a lot of faith in fall victim to just the pure intensity of it all. It's basically 100 shots of beer in 100 minutes.
Yeah.
And you say that, a little supping, it's grand, no bother. I tell you what the end result is for most mere mortals. Projectile. I didn't believe in projectile until I seen one of, I think it was your brother Ross, Sean, until I seen him do. I thought it was just for the films. I was like, what are they doing? This is so unrealistic. And then I seen it live before my eyes. Yeah. But I get back to that.
It happens early though. Like, you know, you could have 34 minutes, 34 shots, and you're
30,
like, this is fine. And then 35, it's on the walls.
Then you're done. You're done.
Someone went very early.
I think that was, I actually think that was Shawnee P as well. You know,
Maybe
no
17
gallbladder.
or something.
Just couldn't hack it.
What were we saying, Deggy?
But do you remember, there was like a series of child's vehicles around my house at the time. And I don't know how this happened, but you guys were all causing chaos around my back garden. And I think, Ross, you were on a go-kart, and Owen, you were on a trike. And Ross came and like lanced you with something and knocked you off the yoke. And he went around the back of the house just like not seeing if you're okay, like Sam would, like a good friend like Sam would. But he just... You know, in not a bad way. Like, this is a testament to Ross's character. This is what he'd do for you in that situation. He eulogized you. He was a good man. He was a brave man. He is a dead man. And, you know, that stays with me to this day. You know what I mean?
I think it was like a Fisher Price type situation.
That's
with
it.
the legs and the bottom are going, you know, like a Fred Flintstone type situation. And I remember just being, almost in a coffin of plastic.
In the bush somewhere or something. I'm not sure. Now, in fairness, I was very, very drunk after the Century Challenge, but I'm not sure there was any kind of lance involved. I thought you lost control.
Oh, that could have happened.
That was my version of the memory, anyway.
Well, look, I was in no fit state to be, pointed out if you were wrong in that regard. You know, I was probably twice as drunk as you. So.
Yeah, them sort of days. Do you know what we could have used then while we were all drunk as skunks? Some kind of faith healer like this Strider character seems to be like.
Oh, yes.
If we could put ourselves in a place where we all seen the movies hundreds of times and some of us have read the books before, but could you imagine if this was new and you read The Hobbit 6 years ago and then you're looking forward to the next installment and you're reading Fellowship for the first time and you'd never heard of this fella? Like, what is this chap? He's like a priest. He's like a tracker. He's like a healer. I'm very impressed altogether here, Newman.
Like even the little song that he says to the knife. Like remember he gets the knife and he whispers at something that no one else can hear, but only he can hear. Like what is he saying? What is that helping? Like who is that helping? You know what I mean? Is it supposed to be helping Frodo heal, or is it just kind of like, or is it like some tradition that that's just what you have to do?
Yeah,
lads,
you have to sing.
You get this El Morgul blade and you say a few little words, and then that's what it is, you know.
Lads, this part of the story actually rings a little bit more true to life than you might expect. Like we're living in a country.
Wait, have you been stabbed by a ghost?
No, I haven't been stabbed by a ghost. But in this country, Ross, there's plenty of people that are considered healers. You know that if you have ailments of some sort, that there's a man down a small lane that you didn't know existed that somehow people say he has mystical powers. That's a regular thing in Ireland. That there's, he has the cure for such and such. No?
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%. There's a man my mother knows who lives near her auntie in Slane, and he will pay you for your warts.
That's...
Yeah. Jesus Christ. I wouldn't give away my warts for money.
Yeah, it's legit. So what happens is you go into him, right? You will hear there's a wart on the back of my hand. And I want it gone, right? And he'll say, right.
I'll give €2, $2.50.
No, it's a little bit cheaper than that now. In fairness, it's about maybe 20 cent, 25 cent, right?
What's the going rate for a wart?
I've been growing this for 6 years.
No, but what he does is, right, he gets a holy candle, right? Don't ask me why it's holy, because this guy is obviously not Christian. You're like, right?
Fucking pagan.
He'll pay you like 20 odd cent to burn your wart off your hand with a holy candle or something. Now, I've never had many warts, so I'm not really up to date. And all I know is that if you're looking money and you have a wart, lads, out to Slane with you. And I think there is something there that you have to say a couple of Hail Marys or the warts will come back or some nonsense like that.
If Bull was on
Ross,
this,
a bit of respect, please. Bit of nonsense.
Yeah.
Come on,
If Bull was on this, he'd be creaming in his pants because he goes on about this. There's some sort of thing about the seventh son of a seventh son that's able to heal warts, and apparently one of his uncles or something is the seventh son because his granddad had 7 brothers, and then there's 7 brothers in the next one. So he's the seventh son that can heal warts, and that's a big thing in Ireland.
You'd say Aragorn is the seventh son of a seventh son, is he?
Maybe, yeah. They're doing it on seventh son of a seventh son.
I remember at one point, me and my uncle, who's quite close in age to me, we either had one of two ailments. It was either shingles or whooping cough. It's one of those kind of like, you know.
Whooping cough.
You know what I mean?
Shingles bandy
It's
knees.
definitely
Or is that
not
something else?
whooping cough. Jesus
What's whooping
Christ.
Ooh, that sounds like girls with big arses farting. That's what that sounds like.
You fucking...
No, folks say whooping
Maybe
cough.
it was shingles then.
Fucking
Maybe it was shingles.
Whooping cough is like something.
No,
that happened
hooping.
Yeah,
Hooping.
That's
Hooping
like,
cough.
That's
Hooping.
like something
It's
happened
hooping.
in the trenches in World War One. That killed a couple of 100,000 people.
Well, I fucking had it, lads.
No, you did
And-
not.
I did.
Cough.
I
Bring it
fucking
back.
did. I'm lucky to be here. I'm lucky to be here today.
Folks say no.
My granny brought me and my uncle, his mother, to this woman she lived in an estate in Blackcastle, just, you know where Blackcastle is.
Oh, yeah.
And she gave us some brown bread to eat, and we ate that brown
Brown
bread,
bread?
and then, yeah, it was some
Brown bread.
Magic
blessed brown
bread.
bread, and we had.
She's an elf.
Brown bread. Not
Yeah,
brown
yeah,
bread,
that's-
brown bread.
That's Lembus.
That's La Lambus, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Now, I'm not saying it was lambus, but I wasn't hungry for a week after. Now,
How
coincidence?
many did you eat?
Yeah, going back to your man who, paid for the warts, what did he do with the warts? What was he trying to achieve?
Just, I don't know. I've no idea what he got out of it. He probably was just, a mad bastard.
Thought it was going to be like cryptocurrency in years to come or something. Just be warts.
It was like a 1 hour photo situation. He just hung them up on his wall, and he just like coveted them, or I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But Jesus,
weird.
he'd be wall to wall with fucking warts if that was the case. Because the queue round the corner to get these warts off your arse. And him with the candle ready to go.
He had the monopoly on the. He cornered the wart market.
Like,
Maybe.
imagine, that
Yeah.
was your superpower. Like, the gods are among us, lads. They just have mundane powers.
And come here, what about genital warts?
That's 50 cent.
Are you looking? Are you
That's
looking?
50 cents.
I need to find someone, a seventh son of a seventh son, to get off a few
Out
warts.
to Slane with you. No bother at all. No bother at all.
Jeez.
Speaking of this fate healer shit, it's actually good one. I think the most common, they say wives' tale, but that's probably not the right thing. It's this kind of nonsense, fake medicine that doesn't work. And I thought there was a connection there. This Etheles, the plant that Aragorns.
Yeah,
Kingsfoil.
Kingsfoil. It's a weed.
It's a weed.
I don't know if
It's a
that's
weed.
canon. I don't know if that's canon now. That's
All
me.
right.
You know what I mean?
All right. Sorry, Ross.
In the book,
Sorry.
lads. It's a book
All right.
podcast.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, Aragorn's description of it is quite good. It came from the men from the west, and they brought it over, and it lives in the north, etc. Is it just a fucking dock leaf, do you reckon? Duffy, what do you think?
Yeah, I reckon so. The dock leaves used to save our lives. Even it was most likely a placebo.
Oh, it is.
100%.
Had to be,
So,
had to be.
But
do you want to explain what a dock leaf is, just in case it's not all over the world?
if you're threading through hedges and you got stung by a nettle, right? I'm not sure. Are nettles common everywhere else? I presume
don't
they are.
know.
They're just weeds.
It's a weed that stings, basically.
A stingy weed, but not like a prickle weed, like a sting. Like it lasts
Give
for
you
a
a
while,
rash.
like
Give you a
an
rash.
hour or two.
Yeah.
And the cure was to rub a dock leaf on it. Like that.
Never make that sound again.
That was. I have a dock leaf here, and I was just expressing how it exactly
I
sounds.
thought you were sitting on a duck.
But yeah, and it heals you, and it does, and it's true.
Yeah.
But again, placebo or just one of them tall tales from a fella that says, "I'm a healer, and this will cure you," and believe me.
Well, you knew shit was going down when someone was searching for dock leaf.
Yeah.
It's all, you're playing in the fields and it's all good crack and all that kind of, all that stuff. But then we need to find a fucking dock leaf. That shut it the fuck down. Someone is.
Yeah.
I
Some
know what I mean.
things are beyond kind of jokes,
Yeah. True. As it should be. As it should be as well.
Yeah, the game of hide and seek or home 45 or whatever you're playing, that's paused.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
100%.
I think it was the underside of the dock leaf, and you had to spit on it, didn't you? And then it would it turned into this green.
It'd release its juices.
Yeah.
There was
Maybe it was just
spitting.
spit
There
all
was
along, was
spitting
it?
involved.
Yeah.
There was spitting involved, yeah.
It'd be like if you were living in on the fucking west coast of America or something, you got stung by a jellyfish. The same kind of thing. Like someone pisses on your leg, but no, that doesn't. Well, it might work, but
I think it's because dock leaves are very commonly to find them. They grow beside nettles, so maybe people are like,
yeah, 'tis a weed.
Tis a weed. Yeah.
This is a weed.
I wonder does Ethelus work as well?
I'm away from the mic here.
No,
No,
see
you're
you,
all
see you
right.
later,
Yeah,
go on,
right,
go on.
yeah, he's
See you
gone.
later, Deggy, go on.
He's gone.
Good to speak to you.
Right?
All right.
See, people listening to this podcast, and if this doesn't make the cut, I don't care, because I'm going to have a little rant here, right? I mean, it's all well and good that Deggy's the most popular member of the podcast. He's a fucking nightmare, so he is. You can't even be watching him. You can't even be fucking watching him, like. He's just away now. Just away off.
Gone now, yeah. Come on,
That's
lads.
it.
See you later.
That's it, yeah,
Look,
right.
Bye
Grand.
now.
Fuck's sake. I'm moving on. Anyway, he mentioned it earlier on before he left the podcast. The descriptions of some of the locations in this chapter are top tier. Top tier. So much so that I could envision it perfectly because it's exactly like the movie. Scrubland with low grass with tufts of trees or bushes dotted across it. Like, did they actually film this scene in fucking Middle Earth? It's absolutely spot on.
Well, like you know, they set the scene quite well, and obviously, I know what you're saying, Ross. You know, it's exactly like them. But I can't get away from how the particulars are just so different. Like Arwen isn't there.
Oh, we get to that though. Don't worry about that.
I know, but I suppose I would find it hard to divorce those two things from each other. I know what you're saying. You know, you're down by the ford, even when they're up by the trolls and all that kind of crack. I would find it hard to reconcile that between, you know, knowing the movie so well and all that. But yes, like obviously whoever the person goes out and finds their set director or whatever did a very good job, and he must be commended for that, or she must be commended for that.
Yeah, and as someone who, I suppose, you know, this is our first pod together, Newman. Excuse me, I just drank too much there. Do you find this book overly descriptive? A common complaint?
The thing I love about this book, and like even reading the, you know, all the bits about what went into writing this book for Tolkien and all that kind of crack, is how he didn't really like allegory.
Yeah.
And I love that. I kind of love that, because sometimes I'm reading a book and I'm just like, tell me the fucking story. Tell me what's going on. I don't want metaphors. I don't want this, that, and the other. And that's kind of what I like. Because sometimes, to be honest, these things go over my head a little bit. So I really enjoy all the descriptors, because I know that it's like what you see is kind of what you get, and I really like that. You know,
it's straightforward, like.
It is, yeah. No, it is straightforward. Yeah. Like,
I genuinely think it is. Yeah, like Sauron isn't capitalism or some bullshit like.
This is it. You know, and like you always have a natural tendency, to look at this book and think, oh right, this is a metaphor for this, and this is a metaphor for that, and you know there is a bit in that throughout it, but really it's just on the faces of it, you know. Meat and fucking two veg.
Meat and two veg.
Meat and fucking two veg.
Dick in the vagina.
Dick in the vagina. Beef Wellington.
Jesus.
You know. That's it.
One of those
Jesus.
things is not like the other two.
No, that's a shot in there.
That's a quote. It's a quote from Peep Show. We should start Peep Show.
Right. Okay,
Sorry for our
right.
younger listeners there.
Yeah, okay. Now listen, the elephant in the room in this chapter, and you've mentioned it there so well, Newman, is Arwen's not in it.
Yes.
And she's a very important character in the movie. I think, you know, I don't know if she improves the story around that, but certainly makes it different. It doesn't make it any worse having Arwen involved, which is probably a compliment to the writers of the movies, you know, Peter Jackson, Fran Welch, and Philippa Bowen, I think it might be. I don't know. I'm sure the fans are shouting at me right now. I'm supposed to be the know-it-all, and I'm getting it wrong again. But Glorfindel, boys. Oh, I could go on all day about this fella. So he was done dirty. He was done dirty by the movies.
Yeah.
This man is absolutely one of my favourite elves we've met so far, of the two we've met. Absolutely fucking love him. Deggy, what do you make of Glorfindel?
Oh, he's brilliant, isn't he? Like, he's just a top man. Seems to be, you know, the light when the boys needed it most. Just had a bit of direction, you know. Strider, like, as good as a ranger as he is, he got lost a good bit. In that chapter. You know, he
Yeah,
took them a little
he was
bit
under
far.
pressure.
He was under pressure. He was under pressure, right? You know, a lot riding on it, but he took them too far north. Like, you know, in the movie, they make it seem like it's just a straight route. They know where they're going the whole time. But in the book, it's a little bit more like, you know, we got a little bit straight off.
Find our way, like, yeah.
You know, which is great. Like, you know, and these are the little nuances you pick up in the book that you miss in the film. Like, you know, there's extra little bits and pieces in it that just make it makes it a more arduous journey. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, that's what you're looking for. But then this man comes in and he's just a clear path of direction, you know, gives them some sort of form of liquid that kind of brings them back to life, you know?
Yeah.
It like rejuvenates them a little bit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Big dick energy, you'd say.
Big, I would. Absolutely big dick energy. The biggest dick energy.
What I love, what I picked up about Glorfindel here, lads, I don't know about you, but said, you know, there aren't many in Middle-earth who would ride against the Nine. You know, so he's obviously brave to go out and do that, but he goes a step further. He doesn't just ride out against them, does he? He goes out on a horse with bells on, so the police can find him easy enough. So that just shows he's not worried about them finding him. He's not worried at all. I'm just hoping that Frodo and Aragorn find me, because I'm going out here literally with bells on.
Mentions in the story too that he found 2 different sets of Black Riders and he chased them down. So for Black Riders to fucking see this fella and fuck off in the opposite direction, it must mean, you know, big dick energy, as we said.
Do any of you lads know who Glorfindel like is, other than just being, you know, a badass elf and a white horse?
No, I don't know.
No.
He's essentially, without getting into it too much, like, he is Elf Jesus. Really,
shit.
I think there's an argument to be made with, alongside Galadriel, he's probably the most powerful elf on Middle Earth.
Fuck off.
Yeah, 100%. He's really done dirty by the movies.
He was in the movies though.
Is he a ring bearer?
He was. No, he's not ring bearer. You don't need it, Deggy.
Don't need it. Doesn't
he?
Turn it down.
He was in the movies.
I don't think he was in the movies.
Where was he in the movies?
I have it on good authority. That authority being some lad I spoke to last week said that there's a part in the Return of the King where Aragorn is getting, you know, knighted as the king and all that kind of crack, and Elrond is there and he's giving him a little nice smile, but there's a fella over his like right shoulder,
right?
You know, a kind of like a blondie fella, and apparently
that's Glorfindel.
Yeah,
he just goes to parties.
Now I'm not sure if that's an intentional thing, if it's a Easter egg. I don't really know, but
that's fair enough. Yeah, well, listen, if someone was cast as him and someone got paid money to play him, then he's in the movies.
But even do you remember the movies when, you know, we're on about this bad bastard who would ride out with his horse and with bells on? Do you remember in that whole sequence you could hear bells in the sequence?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just saying that
in the movie, like.
Class. Oh yeah.
You think that was a nice little nod to him?
Well, when?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I wouldn't have thought that. I just thought that would when I seen the movie, I just thought that was like a part of like
sound effect, or
of the score or the effects that were there. But then reading this chapter, it's like, oh no fucking way.
Oh Jesus! No, that is good gear there, Newman. I didn't get what you were saying.
Well, when did the bells happen?
We all know the scene at like the back of our hand, but when Arwen is riding through the trees, she's heading towards the ford, and then it's almost as if the screen pans out and it's her in the middle, and then the riders are behind her.
The flying V.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a little bell, and it's like, and I read that and I was like, no fucking way. Good fucking lads. I don't know if it was, you know, it was Peter or if it was
there you go. I never noticed that.
No, I must give it a rewatch for the 7th time since I started this podcast. So Glorfindel, he's basically absolutely the man. He is one of the firstborn, or the first awoken, I think it is how they say it. So he is as old as an elf can possibly be. So he's older than Elrond. I'm not sure if he's older than Galadriel, but he is literally amongst the very first ever woken beings. The only thing that could possibly be older than him would be one of the dwarves that were put back to sleep, but they are all dead now anyway. So he is as old as any kind of being that isn't like, you know, a wizard or whatever. So he's one of those. He's been in Middle-earth since the age of the trees, which is before the first age. I think, well, the first age started when the elves were born. Could be wrong. Don't know. But anyway, old as shit. And he fought against all the bad bastards, including Sauron's boss, Morgoth. I think he fought Balrog, or maybe a couple of Balrogs, maybe even the Balrog King.
I remember reading something that he defeated the most powerful Balrog ever. That's all I know about Glorfindel.
Something like that, yeah. And then he died, and he actually got to come back to Middle-earth like Gandalf. So he's the only non-wizard ever, and only non-wizard of any kind of thing. Because Gandalf obviously comes back, but Gandalf can't really die, can he? Because he's never really alive. He's just a force or whatever. So he actually got to come back from death because he's Glorfindel. He's the absolute fucking man. And you'd know it, Deggy, wouldn't you? You'd know he's the man.
He is, of course. Like, you know, you're talking like that. Just goes even further to tell you about that big dick energy. Like, you know, coming back, beating Balrogs, on a day's work. Like, that's a good CV to have, and like a CV of the ultimate badass.
Good CV. I think he's in the next chapter as well, but we'll keep that in our back pocket, you'd say.
But like, boys, you're chatting about how you know he's the man, and like, you know, apologies in a way if I always look at this book through the lens of having seen the movies so much and being such a big fan. But like, I have to say, you know, I didn't know he was a man. Like, you know,
fair enough, yeah.
You know, like at a point where shit's going south for all the boys, you know, Frodo's in fucking bits.
Like, he's in a heap.
He's in a fucking heap. And says even when you're anticipating Arwen's introduction, you're like, you know, you hear the little light, you know, that, what is it? What did they say? The clippity clap.
Yeah,
and
like an evil horse or whatever,
And it's like you hear about the fucking the hood being thrown back and the cloak streaming behind and all this kind of crack. And you're kind of like, oh yeah, Arwen's coming in, yeah? And look.
What's this? A ring?
What? Yeah. And look, and you know, I found it very enjoyable, and I probably had a very weak moment where
at the knees, was it? Woo!
Look, you're sitting there and you're like, all the wording is masculine. It's like it's his cloak and it's his golden hair, and you're thinking, oh, maybe they just changed her hair to, maybe they made her brunette in the movie. I don't care. I'll take her anyway. You know what I mean? And I just had a bit of a weak moment, and then you find out it's a man, and it's like, that's fine, but you know, it's amazing how a book can have that effect on you.
Yeah. And well, so anyway, they're still being pursued. They're flying along, and they mention it that this is probably in a roundabout way the same kind of path in some parts that Bilbo went on in The Hobbit. So they're still very much kind of retracing Bilbo's steps in some ways. They went to the troll bit, I think someone mentioned there as well. Just made me think, like, Middle-earth must be a fucking shithole. Like, I mean, it's just dangerous as fuck. Can you go, as soon as you're outside of Bree, you're just running into bother. I know, not everyone gets fucking followed by Nazgul, but at one point, Aragorn's like, here, we actually can't keep going this way, because that's troll country. What the fuck is troll country like? Do they have towns?
As if we go this way, we're fucked, like.
Yeah, that happens a few times, I think. Like, I know, oh Duffy, what do you think? Is Middle-earth potentially a shithole?
It seems like it. Fuck. Like, everywhere they go, there's some sort of bother. Whether it's behind them, in front of them, fucking underneath them, above them.
Yeah, because Bilbo had bother as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they took the same road, so, look, fair enough. They kind of knew, right, if we take the same road as Bilbo took, we're going to run onto a bit of bother here. But they were lucky enough that the fucking trolls were turned to stone and they could laugh about it and stuff like that. But, yeah, like, once they get out of the Shire, just no matter where they go, like, from the trees trying to kill them to the Barrow-wights to this now, like the trolls, every single chapter is like a bother to them.
Yeah.
Like, where do we go that we can't die?
We'd be fucked. We'd be fucked. We would.
We would.
Absolutely.
Especially Deggy.
I'm very loud of step. You can hear, if I walk into a room, you can hear me from down the hall. Like, flat feet.
Yeah.
You know, that was one of the worst parts of The Hobbit for me was, and I know it's probably in the book, I haven't read the Hobbit, but, you know, the difference between trolls in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Like, you know, I thought, like, you know, the trolls in Lord of the Rings were pretty badass.
Yeah. Do you know what was one of the worst parts of The Hobbit, Deggy?
Yeah.
the entirety of them. Let's not say that.
Fair.
Lads, come on. There were some redeeming features. There were redeeming features. I'll go out on a limb and say what? No, but there were certain things that were all right. Well, what about the
Billy Connolly playing a leader of an army?
No, right.
No.
No, but what about in the first one, the interaction between Bilbo and
Gollum?
Gollum.
Yeah.
That was good.
No,
I enjoyed that.
That almost saves an entire trilogy. It's that good.
Yeah.
It's just
and I'm with you. I really didn't like them, but like, you know, I kind of always try and take a little bit from them, you know.
Well, I also think that the elf lady who's the Wasp in Ant-Man and the Wasp, when she was in Lost back in the day, I don't know the actor's name.
Evangeline Lilly.
Big fan, lads. Big fan.
Yeah.
I like her acting.
Go gear.
I like her acting ability.
She's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
She is a very good actor.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
She acted very well.
I like to watch her act. So back Lord of the Rings here, lads. They're in a bit of a pursuit, you'd say. They are being pursued. Deggy, can you think of a better race of anything ever for jockeys than hobbits?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they will be elite. The Grand National will be like, if you know.
No, I completely.
You disagree? Go on. You chimed in there. Fucking go on.
I wholeheartedly disagree with this line of they would be shit because they're so fat.
They're like 2-3
They're
feet
so
tall.
fat and
They weigh nothing.
they don't weigh nothing.
It's all about weight,
Come on.
Newman.
Yeah, that's
if a
come
horse
on
has
now.
a lot of weight, it won't run right.
No,
Telling you.
they're.
They are all fat, I guess. You know, maybe the movies will trick us a little bit. I feel like hobbits are a lot fatter in the books.
Yeah, but I doubt they're going to be like 3 foot tall and 70 kilos.
If you want to be a jockey, you got to be skinny as fuck. You want to be dying at about 40 years old because you're that skinny.
Yeah.
That's the life you chose.
Any good jockey dies at 40.
Any good jockey dies at 40.
Yeah. If you ever meet an old man in the pub who says he was a jockey when he was younger, spit on him.
Is the life expectancy low with jockeys, is it? Is that a thing, like, or we just... Yeah.
No, if you meet an old lad in a pub that was a jockey when he was younger, he's 25. He was a jockey when he was 15. And
exactly.
He had a good 3 years, and that was it. He's gone.
It's a tough life.
Yeah, it's a kind of similar. I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm sorry I'm going back into it, but there was an episode where it was like, my dad was a kamikaze pilot that survived.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a kamikaze pilot that survived, you're going to be no good.
Yeah,
you know, you shouldn't have survived that.
I've got some questions. It's kind of like jockeys, you know. You just keep going until you go over one fence too many.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only way to know where to stop. Well, listen, it's some pursuit though, isn't it? Like, I don't know about you lads, but I was like sweating reading this thing.
It's one of my favourite scenes in the whole film. It's class. It's just that scene where it's like above the nine and they're just chasing Frodo down. I think that's just something else. I remember seeing that for the first time and just being like, wow, this is class. This is something else, you know?
Yeah. And it pans out a little bit differently here, doesn't it? Not just that obviously Glorfindel is different, but I mean the layout, Newman, is a little bit different, isn't it?
You know, the layout is different, but a big thing that I've always found different is like even Nazgul themselves.
Yeah.
And they go on. I almost feel like there's some kind of now obviously strike me down if I am wrong, but there's something about the Nazgul in the book that's almost a little bit like cheeky or almost mincing, kind of in a way. That's kind of like
sneering, I'd say. Yeah, I don't know if they're mincing. They're not like John Walters, I don't think.
No. But like I was reading it and it reminded me of like, you know that bit in the second Mad Max movie.
Yeah.
It always reminded me of like Humongous or something like that.
Huge Mungus.
It's a huge mungus.
Yeah, it is huge mungus. Yeah.
It always reminded me of them because the kind of the cheekiness. Like I know huge mungus. I can't remember the character's name who's like who's got the rasher on him because someone boomeranged the fuck out of his like lover or something like that. I can't remember.
No, he loses a finger or two, doesn't he?
No, I think.
I know what you mean. Yeah, they're a bit camp, you'd say.
Yeah, I don't know what it, but like Frodo's saying to them, like, "Would you fuck off?" And they're like, "No, we'll fuck off, but you're coming with us, lad." Like,
yeah,
you know
they're laughing at him. They're proper
they're
laughing.
Like, yeah, we're fucking off now. But
in fairness, right, credit where it's due. They're laughing at Frodo because Frodo's a fucking lad. He pulls out the sword. He's like, right, come on then, let's go. Let's go.
And he's talking about this elf and that elf and all this kind of crack, and you know.
I think whatever about Glorfindel getting a hard run the movies, we've talked about loads of things before. We'll talk about it again. Book Frodo is different gravy. Different gravy. Movie Frodo was just here gasping, so he was or whatever he was doing for this 20 minutes, with, sitting on Liv Tyler's lap. But Buck Frodo had the sword out, and he was like, "Right, come on, let's go."
Yeah. It's funny. It's very interesting, the creative choices. Like that would have been like there would have been lads sitting around a table, like what? Let's say 15, 20 years ago, and saying like, right, well. And they would have had a good understanding as much as we, or if not more than we have of those books, and they would have said, we have to make Frodo a bit more of a bitch, or like or a bit more
pretty much, yeah.
To drive on the story and to, I don't know, for what reason, to show the impact that the ring imposed, or I don't know. It's very interesting,
Yeah, I'd love to find out. I'd love to find out why did they decide to nerf Frodo. Like what?
to nuke him, if you will. Yeah. To nuke his character.
I think it was maybe a bit of it to do with trying to make Aragorn more of a lead character than he is in the books, and trying to make him a bit of an action movie. He needs to save someone. I don't know, Duffy. What do you think? Why is Frodo? Why did they decide to make Frodo completely different, basically?
I don't think it's fair at all. Like, I just went to grab a beer there, but you might have mentioned it that 9 riders were in pursuit, right?
Yeah.
Frodo was on the back of a horse. He didn't know. Basically, the horse just got slapped on the arse by Glorfindel.
Yeah.
And the horse set off, and 9 riders were after him. Like, Glorfindel even said to Frodo, "Look, Frodo, you need to go because like you're in danger." And then Frodo was like, no, I can't leave because my friends are in danger. And Glorfindel was like, actually, if you don't, they're in danger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, get on the horse and fuck off to Rivendell, please.
Go on, get out.
So yeah, and he fucked off anyway. And the 9 riders were after him. And like, even before this, Frodo was gone for 8 or 9 days with a Morgul blade stuck in his shoulder.
Yeah, and
he was keeping on.
They actually didn't even pursue them initially because he should be a ghost already. They were like, victory. That's why they let, like in the movies, it's like, again, making Aragorn more of an action star than maybe he is. He drives them off.
Yeah.
Right? And then in the books, they just kind of scarp her because, like, haha, we got him. It's like, he's tagged. And you're saying, zombie fighting someone.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But he lasted so much longer than they expected. But Bull even said last chapter, like, Frodo might have some sort of magical powers or something like that. But, like, you kind of have to look into that now and say maybe he does.
I disagreed with him then. I still disagree with him. I think, just really? Hobbits are just sturdy folk. That's it. Yeah, that's all. Like Morgul blades or whatever they are, again, like the ring wasn't designed with hobbits in mind. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But the ring doesn't work on dwarves as well as it does on men,
humans,
exactly. Yeah. So I just think hobbits are a little bit sturdier.
They're just too goodwill to be able to tarnish. Yeah.
There's also like a narrative that kind of permeates the whole thing with the hobbits and the ring and all that kind of crack. That yes, they're sturdier folk, but also that they're almost there's not much to them. Yeah. To the point where like look, you look at like, let's say, you have your Gandalf and if he had the ring, sure, he'd just be another fucking Sauron at the end of the day. But when it comes to the hobbits, it's kind of like, well, on one side, they're, you hear Gandalf wax lyrical about them in terms of like how they always surprise you and all that kind of crack. But then there's the underlying thing of, yeah, look, they wouldn't really do much with it, even if they knew how to fucking use it, like, you know what I mean? So,
just use it to be killer cider or something.
Yeah. Does the ring bring out the worst in people? Like, isn't the ring like meant to bring out the worst in people? And it's like the hobbits don't have a bad side. Like they don't have that worst to bring out anyway. Because like men wanted power, so they became the wraiths. The dwarves wanted more gold, so they became more greedy. It brings out the worst in people's, but the hobbits don't have that. So
if you gave Daddy Two-Foot the ring, he'd be an even worse gossip. He'd start a magazine or something.
Well, Owen, I think there's a nail to be hit, and you've hit it there.
Yeah, look,
he's got a history here with proper literary review. Yeah.
I feel like he's reached out and I've been touched by something and by the hand of Owen Duffy, nevertheless.
Yeah. And then just at the end of the chapter, lads, big fuck off flood. Big flood.
Who does that?
I think we find out in the next chapter. We keep
Spoilers. Yeah, you can't be doing that.
I have one quick thing to mention. So when Aragorn meets Glorfindel for the first time, well, since the first time.
Oh, do you have a translation for the Elvish?
Yeah, so he says, "Me Govanen." Now he says it to someone.
Me Govanen, Dunedanian, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, whatever he says. But
yeah.
I was looking into it, right, and apparently "me" means man, and Govanen means good lads. So he just basically said, "Good man, lads."
Yeah.
Yes, good.
Oh, that's absolutely excellent.
Oh, God. Mega Bannon. Good man.
I absolutely
spectacular.
That's the sign off from now on. That's good stuff.
This is why we have listeners right here. That is fucking magic. My God, that is perfection itself. Love it. Any hot takes, lads, before we go? Newman, do you have any hot takes? Any tepid takes?
Any tepid takes? I think the hottest take was I wish I saved it. Was the bell ringing between the movie and
I like that. Yeah,
you shot your wad there. Yeah, you shot your wad.
I'm afraid I don't have anything apart from that. No, but apart from this whole chapter just being one hot, fucking steamy take of my brain, I don't know.
Okay, great. And what about you? What about you, General? Any takes?
No, I just thought maybe, like Frodo's on the back of Glorfindel's horse. He looks left and right and he sees that the Black Riders aren't so black anymore, that they're wearing like grey, and he can see them for what they are. So it's more so like Frodo being stabbed by the Morgul blade. He's being brought into the, what do you call that, the Wraith world. So he can see them for what they are more so than what they're,
Do you think that they took their cloaks off and,
just whip them off them?
In Minas Morgul, we don't have your mortal pretenses to shame, we all just walk around nip.
Yeah.
That's big dick energy right there. Just you stab some cunt and then whip off your clothes. What's he going to do there? There's no answer to that. He's won.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, you've been stabbed, and now you have to look at a willy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Double loss.
Or do you think that Frodo is only seeing them that way because he's been stabbed with the poison and it's gone through his body?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like he's already kind of becoming a wraith, so he can see them for what they are more so than just black cloaks.
Right, yeah, very good. I can't think of any hot takes myself. Deggy, are you ready for me to go back to you yet?
Look, it was just, I suppose I wanted to, it wasn't a hot take as much as it was just like, Strider maybe not being as fucking just majestic as he is, seeming a bit more human in this chapter than he does in the entirety of the films, by getting lost a little bit and fucking up and coming back and getting saved a little bit, You don't see that in the film,
Yeah.
No, you don't. I agree, and I think it chimes in with my earlier hot take that they nerfed Frodo to make Aragorn look better.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's two different kind of interpretations.
Yeah. I've one more here, but it's one of them that you're like, oh, shut the fuck up, will you? But I'm going to say it anyway.
I'm excited anyway.
Alright, yeah, I'm ready for this.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
So-
Everyone quiet down now, just you know.
Right, so in the last chapter, I mentioned that Frodo he tries to cut the toes off the Black Rider, and he says like, "Oh, Elbereth Gilthoniel" or something. So yeah, I mentioned in that chapter that he was like praying to God that, "Oh, don't fucking let these cunts kill me, please." And again, before the Black Riders cross the river, he says, "By Elbereth and Lutheniel the Fair," right? And Elbereth is the Valor of Light, and Luthien defeated Sauron once before. So it's basically like Frodo's mentioning like the darkness versus I know I know
darkness versus the light.
We're with you.
No, I like this.
No, you're right.
Elbereth the light and Sauron the darkness and all that crack, and that's what made the fucking clippity cloppity and
Clippity clap.
Yeah, Deggy's been screaming now for 5 minutes
Yeah.
trying to get in. Deggy, what are you saying?
No, but just like what do you think? Do you think there was any religion in Middle Earth, or do you think they just knew too much? Like, elves have been around forever, so it's like, there's no need for religion. We know what's going on.
Yeah, do you know what, Deggy? I think that's an interesting question. Yeah. I would cast your mind to the 2005 Keanu Reeves classic Constantine.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay.
Where-
Jesus. Fucking hell. Curveball.
I'd cast your mind there, lad. So at one point, the angel Gabriel, played by an extremely androgynous Tilda Swinton, says to him, it's like, you can't get into heaven because you don't believe in God. And then John says, what do you mean? I don't believe in God. I know there's a God. It's like, yes, that's the difference, John. You don't believe, you know.
oh, that's good, isn't it? That is
Wow.
good.
So I think, can anyone really be religious when, like, the children of God are walking around, and he's riding on Glorfindel's horse, and Glorfindel is God's, favorite child or whatever, this kind, that, the other. They know the gods are real, so I don't think they need to go praying to them. Does that make any sense? That's my interpretation.
Yeah, I get you, 100%.
Another hot take. Well, it's not a hot take. It's probably a tepid take.
Tepid, right?
Tepid as fuck. Tolkien must have loved horses because they were the unsung hero of this book by times. If you're talking King of Horses, does Gandalf a serious amount of favours. You're talking about Bill fucking carrying all this stuff, going through a load of grief, helping the lads get as far. And then you're talking about Frodo, right? There's a horse that can take Frodo straight to Rivendell and outrun all the Black Riders. Like, that's some serious work by horses, Unsung heroes.
Yeah.
Did he fight in World War One, Tolkien? Or was that like before?
He
that
did,
was like...
yeah. I know where your head's at. Yeah,
But there you go, much so you read about how horses were the unsung heroes of like...
Cavalry, yeah.
Yeah. So that might tie into that,
dragging cannons around the place. It was a horsepower war, wasn't it?
That's where horsepower comes from.
That's it. No,
Scientific
actually,
podcast.
it comes from the horse's arsehole, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Lads, that's why people tune into the show. Literary review, big discussions, big talk. We didn't once mention Fanny. Well, there it is there. But we did well. I think that's as good a place as anywhere to leave it, unless anyone has any little bits to mention.
No,
that's it.
No, that's
I don't. I'm all out.
Right. Check us out in the socials. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, all this, that, the other. Reach out to us. Let us know how we're doing, I suppose. Review us. That's good. Do all the other little bits. And then, it's good bye from me. It's goodbye from the lads. But lads, go on.
Hey, good luck.
Bye now.
Thanks very much for listening.
Bye,
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Right. Go on. Fuck off.